if Pentecost Sunday, being a date in the calendar, really is that important, what are its implications for us, for you, for the local church? Hey, my name's Brian Weber. I'm pastor at C3 Church in Devonport, and I've been pondering this question. Is Pentecost Sunday as important as Resurrection Sunday? And I'm now finding I'm pondering even another question that goes along with that. Because if Pentecost Sunday is as important as Resurrection Sunday, therefore what should be its implications upon you, upon me, upon local churches? When we see in the book of Acts this instruction about being baptized in the Holy Spirit, which led to Pentecost Sunday, Jesus had come back from the dead. I've kind of gone through this in a previous video. He's come back from the dead and he's told the disciples to wait. Wait for this gift. I love that it's called a gift. Gift is good. Anytime someone tells me I've got a gift for you, I don't kind of go like, oh. I always go like, yeah, tell me about it. Where can I get it? Jesus describes to the disciples, wait for the gift from my Father. So we have to understand that this gift, this outpouring of the Holy Spirit is already described as something that is good. And yet so important that Jesus says, don't yet go out without it, but wait. So they wait. And as we understand, the Holy Spirit is poured out on a whole bunch of believers, approximately 120 people. The Holy Spirit is poured out on them. They speak in tongues. And crowds gather from everywhere. And all of a sudden, the people are speaking to the masses of crowds that are gathered. You know, I find it interesting that the Holy Spirit is a gathering spirit. He's not a repelling spirit. He actually attracts people. And he actually makes you and I understandable to people around us. The Holy Spirit doesn't make us weird. He actually makes us relatable to the people around us. So, tongues of fire comes upon the people, they speak in tongues, and an incredible event takes place. But it's only in the couple of chapters, in the next chapter, in Acts chapter 3 and Acts chapter 4, we see another impact of this outpouring of the Holy Spirit. John and Peter, they've just gone to the gates beautiful, they've done this incredible miracle, and there's a message just in that moment. But the miracle catches the attentions of all the officials. And the officials are actually upset because they're against this whole Jesus thing, the way. And so they're arrested, they're put in prison. But the next day they're brought before the officials, the elders, the teachers of the law, the high priest and his family. And Peter and John give opportunity to defend their faith, to defend the events and their faith. And as they start off, it says that Luke, the author of the book of Acts, note, and then the power of the Holy Spirit on Peter. And then in the follow-up verses, the people of the law watching Peter and John, it records this, that they noticed that these were ordinary people, fishermen for crying out loud, who had great boldness upon them. I wonder if this empowering of the Holy Spirit and the purpose of it is to, yes, empower us with a power from heaven, and yet to give us a boldness that goes with it, that we would do the things that goes with that power. I don't know about you, but I remember a distinct moment when I got prayed for the baptism of the Holy Spirit. I gave my life to Jesus at the age of 12, became a Christian, loved it. But it was at the age of 16 that I began to hear about this baptism of the Holy Spirit. I was on a missionary trip to New Zealand. I still don't even know how I went on this trip, because if you knew me as a teenager, I was quiet, I was shy, I was unassuming. Certainly being in front of a crowd was not the thing that I thought was a good idea of a good time. Certainly not speaking in public. Crikey. And yet here I find myself on this mission-based trip. And before they sent us out, there was this guy who actually started speaking about the baptism of the Holy Spirit, that this was the equipping that was needed for us in our ability to go out with effectiveness. Now, I didn't know what to do with it at the time. I remember seeing tens of people going forward, tens of young people going forward. Some of them, fell over. Some of them laughed. Some of them cried. Some of them spoke in this strange language that I had no idea what it was. But just as an example of how shy and quiet I was, everything in me said I should go forward on that. But I didn't. In fact, I waited and I waited. And I still don't know to this day how it happened. But I found myself in the room, the only person left, and this guest speaker. And I asked him, I said, would you pray for this timid little guy? I didn't necessarily use those words, but did not even go forward on the altar call, but to wait. The guy prayed for me. He was gracious. He did. Nothing happened. I didn't speak in tongues. Nothing took place. But in the next couple of days, we went out on this bus trip. We were on this bus trip that was to take us to the first place where we were about to do these song and dance routines that drew the crowd supposedly, and someone would then share their testimony about why they believe in Jesus. And I can still remember the guy on the front of the bus, who was kind of the director of us, and he stood up the front and he says, okay, who would be volunteer to share their testimony today? I can still remember looking around and going like, oh, who the heck's going to do that? But then the next thing I knew, my hand shot straight up. And this incredible sense of something came all over me going like, I'm meant to do this. Not only am I meant to do this, but I'm created to do this. It became such a powerful moment, not just a moment, but then a moment of transformation for me, that every time we went on these trips, every time there was opportunity to do as such, there I was, putting my hand up again. Got to the point where I think the guy who was leading the whole thing says, Brian, you need to put your hand down so we can give someone else turn. But since that day, never the same. Never the same. And I've met countless people with similar stories of having a moment of being filled with the baptism of the Holy Spirit. And then finding themselves that the unctions, the desires of the heart coming to the forefront with such a boldness that it literally transforms a life. Is Pentecost Sunday as important as Resurrection Sunday? I know when I got born again, the heartbeat of Jesus, his spirit, his characteristics, the fruits of the Spirit came alive in me. But I know the day that I got baptized in the Holy Spirit, there became a power to share about those things that were taking place on the inside. And then the further I've traveled in it, the more I've found that then there's gifts, supernatural abilities that I'll explain in another video, that has allowed the Spirit of God to share with people that over my lifetime, I know I've seen tens, if not hundreds of people make decisions for Jesus because of that day. I believe that there's something about Pentecost Sunday that we need to capture yet again. And therefore, this weekend in our church, we're actually going to be holding a literal on Pentecost Sunday. We're taking time to pray for people to be filled with the Holy Spirit, that they might indeed go out with power, with love. Hey, if you would like to know more, please feel free to check us out. Hey, maybe you'd like to be part of the discussion, so feel free to make comment on this video. Feel free to be discussional. Let's remember the heart of this is the spirit of it. Be aware. Let's get into the spirit of this conversation. So again, thank you for listening to me, helping me ponder my thoughts. If you would like, as I said, you'd like to be part of the conversation, feel free to leave comment. If you're looking for a church, C3 Church in Devonport, love to have you here with us. Usually 10 o'clock services. This week though, with Pentecost Sunday, we're starting at 11 because we're joining with our Devonport crew. Hope you're doing well. God bless.